There is a famous CEO. His name is Bryan Johnson, and he's doing everything he can to prolong his life, make it a better life. He spends something like $2 million per year on his body every year, and he says that he is now aging slower than 96% of people his own age. So by doing so, do you think Bryan Johnson is going against human biology?
It's a tough one because I guess us humans, we're trying to do a lot to change our evolution and kind of play with our biology and also even our genetics. It's like, do we want to live long? I think the answer is yes to that. But it's like, how long do we want to live?
Yeah, and it's an interesting point. Is it worth it for us to want to live forever, right? Like some people, they're content with, living just a happy life rather than extending their lifespan by freaking, 20 years or how he says he could live until 120 years old plus, which is crazy.
Which is a big feat, yeah.
Let's ask ChatGPT.
Let's see
what it thinks.
What GPT thinks.
If Bryan Johnson is investing significant resources to slow down aging and is experiencing success in terms of feeling and appearing younger than a typical person of his age, it's important to consider the ethical and scientific aspects of such pursuits. On the one hand, if the methods used align with ethical standards, involve sound scientific principles, and contribute positively to health and well-being, they may be seen as a legitimate endeavor. On the other hand, if the methods are unproven, potentially risky, or disproportionately benefit a select few, concerns may arise regarding fairness, access, and long-term consequences.
Welcome to Curiousolic, the show where we question the past and imagine the future. In this episode, we are not interviewing a guest, but instead, we are revisiting one of our old series that we had started on this podcast called Philosophically Deep. In those episodes, what we used to do is that one of us would come up with 4 deep philosophical questions that we would debate live. But this time around, what we tried to do is pick a specific topic and then come up with the questions together and debate it live. But there is a twist. We have a third member that's joining us, and that member is yours truly, ChatGPT. Because we want to see what would an AI answer to some of these interesting philosophical questions.
So I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. Make sure to subscribe on YouTube, leave a comment, a like on that streaming platform. It really helps us to grow the show. Make sure to follow us on all other major streaming platforms too. It really gives us a hand. And if you really want to be on our show, make sure to send us an email at curiousaholic@gmail.com. So, as Heiko said today, we decided to choose a specific topic rather than, just throw out random philosophical questions. Now we're just focusing on one topic and asking those philosophical questions. And the topic of today is longevity. So the reason why we decided to choose longevity as a topic was, I'm actually reading the book called Outlive by Peter Attia. And I was really interested in, some of the content in that book, like, some of the perspectives Peter has in longevity and just making our lives better in general. So I wanted to ask some philosophical questions as well. And there's also a pretty famous figure right now that's in the mainstream that is trying to, stave off the process of aging. And his name is Bryan Johnson. So that actually kind of ties in pretty well to our first question that we're going to be, talking about. So as mentioned, there is a famous CEO. His name is Bryan Johnson, and he's doing everything he can to prolong his life, make it a better life. He spends something like $2 million per year on his body every year, and he says that he is now aging slower than 96% of people his own age. So by doing so, do you think Bryan Johnson is going against human biology?
Yeah, so I think that's an interesting question because a lot of people, especially people who also have like religious beliefs and whatnot, believe that, you shouldn't go against it, right? That you should just let how your life is going to be. If you are going to die, then you are going to die. It's a tough one because I guess us humans, we're trying to do a lot to change our evolution and kind of play with our biology and also even our genetics and whatnot. it's like, you know, do we want to live long? I think the answer is yes to that. But it's like, how long do we want to live? You know?
Yeah, and it's an interesting point, because we did discuss this like immortality principle in
one
our,
of
our old episodes, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, there is, you know, like that element, right? Do we want to live forever, and is it even, you know, is it worth it for us to want to live forever, right? Like some people, they're content with, you know, living just a happy life rather than extending their lifespan by freaking, you know, 20 years, or how he says he could live until 120 years old plus. Which is crazy.
Which is a big feat, yeah.
And yeah, so it's crazy that, like, you know, we've come to this. I feel like, you know, I think, in my opinion, anyone is allowed to do whatever they want with their body, right? At the end of the day, it's his body. The thing that I like less about this is that, like, there's kind of this lucrative, you know, incentive behind all of it, right? He does have 2 businesses, right?
Yeah, I've heard of it, yeah.
Behind this. One of them is what is the name again? Kernel and Blueprint. Yeah. So those are the names of the 2 businesses. And yeah, so basically Blueprint is like this protocol that he has, that he kind of sells, and like he wants people to follow this, almost like this roadmap to longevity. And he said, like, you go on his website, and he's like, he shows you all his stats, right? It's like, this is his VO2 max, and this is his freaking, you know, bench press PR and all this stuff. It's funny. And it's like, it's almost like, I feel like this longevity journey of his, it should almost be like personal. And he is trying to monetize this a little bit, you know. And this other company, Kernel, right? It's basically this helmet that you put on your head, and it basically reads like your biomarkers, and it tries to understand like what's happening in your brain, right? So it's kind of it's kind of like technology kind of invading our lives a little bit, right?
Okay. Yeah, I see the way you see it. The thing with Blueprint that he has, I don't know does he sell that though? I think like he's also providing a lot of information for free, from what I heard, like that you can follow his protocol. Like, I think it's on his website. I don't know if he's selling that per se. I know what he's selling is this special, really high quality extra virgin, you know, olive oil. Yeah, I think some people have accused him that maybe he's trying to monetize this, but I think his intentions are still not bad there, that he's like a human, you know, guinea pig at this point, that he's putting himself through this to see how long a human could live. I mean, props for him for doing that, but that's the thing. This is the questions that it raises. It's like, you know, till when do we want to live? You know?
Yeah, but maybe, like you said, he's not directly selling these like Blueprint protocols, but he is selling these products, right? Like the extra virgin olive oil, that is part of his protocol. Basically what he says that he does is that he takes 10 milliliters of extra virgin olive oil after every meal to like really help his digestion and reduce inflammation from the food he's eating. So in a way, he's kind of like why do you have to be selling the extra virgin olive oil, right? It's kind of a funny thing. Why can't I just go to the store and buy olive oil?
No, well, because he's saying that a lot of the olive oil that's sold in stores are not good quality, or you can't trace to how it was made. There's a lot of like fraud and scams going around with that. And I agree with that. I mean, the guy has tried to like source the perfect olive oil each step of the way to make sure that, you know, it's a good quality one. But yes, there's always like doubts of like what are his intentions behind all of this, and where is he trying to get at? And, you know, to the question that if he's going against human biology, I guess, that's the thing. What is the point of human biology? Like, what is the end goal?
Right.
You know?
So I think like what our real goal is on this earth, right? I guess it is to like procreate and just live as long as we can. So I give him that you know, essentially our goal is to stay here as long as we can. But like, I feel like there's other ways to achieve that, right? Like he's doing these like blood transfusions, and like he's taking like his son's blood and he's putting it into his own body. It's like, do you want to play with nature that much? Like, do you want to tamper with like all these like, you know, chemical processes, and do you know what it's gonna do? You know, like I get it, it's your own it's your own son, right? So you could probably accept the, you know, the blood. I don't know exactly how that works, but
the blood type.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know. For me, it's like I've always said, like, if you want to like screw around with nature, I feel like it could bite you back in the ass at some point, you know?
I mean, obviously he is taking risks with all of this. But yeah, I mean, for sure, I wouldn't go through all of that, through what he's going through. And, you know, that's the thing. It's like, why has biology programmed death into its creatures, right? Because, you know, everything has to come to an end and be recycled in a way. And, you know, as much as we fear death and whatnot, but that's how things move forward. That's how things evolve. You know, it's like, what is it to say that, like, I am the final ultimate creation, evolution of the human species? You know, why should I stay and not have others, you know, be born and evolve into a higher being or whatever, you know? Like,
yeah, so there is, I think definitely there's a deeper meaning to, you know, our lives, right? It's we're not just this being that's
you know,
there.
like in sci-fi, like novels or like movies, I don't think you like see that often where they're immortal. You know, they're like living in the future, but death is still kind of part of their nature.
Yeah, I guess so.
You know?
Yeah, it's like, it's weird. Yeah, it's not even depicted in science fiction that much, I guess. Yeah.
There is only one movie that I've seen that is a very interesting premise too. It's called In Time. Have you ever heard of it? Yeah. It was like Justin Timberlake that plays in it. It's a really good movie. It's basically where you're born and your currency is time. And it's like imprinted in your arm how much time you have. And the rich basically have billions and billions of hours of time. And they don't age in that movie. Basically, once you reach 25, everyone stays 25. Even if you're 100 years old, you're like, you look 25. So yeah, that's kind of one of the movies that I've seen that it deals with immortality. But yeah, that kind of also deals with, like, you know, like people who are rich and poor and how, you know.
Yeah, I think you brought that up in our Immortality episode, actually.
Oh, did I?
Yeah,
okay, probably.
That's what I probably heard from the movie.
Because it reminds me of that movie. But yeah, exactly. It just raises this question of, okay, so we can live, let's say, to 120. Okay, what says that we can live to 150, 200, you know?
And actually, Bryan Johnson's, I heard, you know, this from another interview that he did. He thinks that perhaps one day there might not be a limit to how long we could live.
Yeah, I think
like,
I heard
indefinitely that he could, you know, he could just
that
live.
Theoretically there wouldn't be a limit.
Yeah. It's like,
okay, let's say yeah, we achieved that, then who chooses who ends?
Yeah. That's the thing. I guess nature in this perspective is kind of like it plays like God, right?
The equalizer.
Like, yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's like it says, you know, who gets to live, and when it's enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But him, like, I feel like he's playing a little bit too much with the, you know,
because a lot of what he's doing also is related to having a lot of ka-ching, you know? And,
yeah, that was my argument earlier, right? There is that.
So it's like, okay, so you want to help people live longer, okay, but I guess in the future only the rich will reach 120 or 150 or whatever, how old, and then the poor will die, you know, at a younger age.
That's the thing, right? Like these brands like Colonel, right? He says that I heard him talk about how some of these brain imaging technologies are super expensive, and you have to, like, they're hard to get, like, come across in the hospitals and whatever. But it's like, I feel like, I don't know, what do the prices, like how does it work to, like, buy one of these devices? Like, I'm sure it's not cheap either, right?
Yeah, I think there have to be some special order or something. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean,
yeah, it's pretty crazy. And yeah, so, you know, one of his philosophy that he lives by is so philosophy powering blueprint is just don't die. So that's like their motto. It's like they have t-shirts that says, like, that say, like, don't die on them. It's wild, you know.
So you kind of see straight up, clear as day, what his goal is to just not die.
Yeah.
But yeah, who is it, you know, to decide if you will or not one day, you know?
Yeah, but all credits to him, though. I mean, right? Like, he is trying to push like the human limit, and it's
what
interesting.
we
Like you
can-
said, he's like a guinea pig, right?
Exactly, and what we can learn from him is all the healthy habits that humans can have. He's doing it to the extreme, but what he's teaching us is, again, just the fundamentals, good enough sleep. Like one of his one things that he always says, if he wouldn't do anything but one thing, is sleep. How much people neglect that. Yeah, your nutrition, the exercise, it's like the basic stuff. But he's trying to like push that to such a limit to see like how dialed in he can be,
Yeah. I looked at like one of his videos today on like just his YouTube channel on his like morning routine. It's so crazy.
Yeah.
Like he has like all these devices, like infrared
Bunch of
cap
things,
to
yeah.
like help his hair growth, and then he puts like this mask on his face to help with the look of his skin.
Or he has like a laser, I think, on his body or something.
Yeah, he has all kinds of wild stuff that he's using. But it's like, yeah, if you're listening to this and like if you want, like I think the biggest takeaway is just like, yeah, there is some value in what he's doing, right?
Yeah,
like he's telling people, do the essential stuff, like sleep well, eat well, exercise. And I think with just those three, you could cover at least like, 90% of all what you need, right?
Yeah, you'll still age, but that's the thing. He's trying to ward off that last part of like, how can I stop aging?
Yeah.
But also, like some people, what they've criticized is his thing where he's trying to like look younger too, right? It's not about like extending his life. It's also like about having less wrinkles and looking like an 18-year-old again.
Yeah. And there's a lot of like nasty comments online about that.
Yeah, obviously.
People
there's a lot
say
of
he looks like a
trolls.
chemo patient or like
Or like
it's
a
wild.
vampire or
Yeah.
something. Yeah, he does have like a kind of odd allure to him. He doesn't look like a normal 40-year-old man
But that's why. It's because you're not used to seeing a 40-year-old man looking like he's
with
freaking
a skin
18.
like that. Yeah.
So it's like out of place, right? The guy looks like he's like a fully grown
but,
adult.
No, but the thing is that you see sometimes people who are in their 40s who look like really young and have this fresh skin, and they might not look 18, but you're like, man, is this guy like 25 or 30? At least like 10 or plus years younger. But he looks like, I don't know, just different. Like
Yeah, he
like
does.
even his face shape kind of looks a bit, different. I don't know.
Yeah. It looks
If you compare to when he was, with a beard and normal looking,
it looks forced. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
that's the thing. It looks like force. It
Yeah.
doesn't look like he's naturally looking young.
Right.
He looks like
yeah.
like people who do plastic surgeries and all kinds of shit. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that that little don't die thing kind of segues into our before that, let's ask ChatGPT
Let's see
what it thinks.
What
Yeah.
GPT thinks. So with that same question, let's see what it has to say.
The pursuit of extending human life and slowing the aging process is a topic of interest in various scientific and medical circles. While some efforts are grounded in legitimate scientific research and aim to address age-related diseases and improve overall health, others may involve speculative or unproven methods. If Bryan Johnson is investing significant resources to slow down aging and is experiencing success in terms of feeling and appearing younger than a typical person of his age, it's important to consider the ethical and scientific aspects of such pursuits. Efforts to enhance human longevity can be viewed from different perspectives. On the one hand, if the methods used align with ethical standards, involve sound scientific principles, and contribute positively to health and well-being, they may be seen as a legitimate endeavor. On the other hand, if the methods are unproven, potentially risky, or disproportionately benefit a select few, concerns may arise regarding fairness, access, and long-term consequences. It's crucial to distinguish between advancements in legitimate anti-aging research and practices that lack scientific validation or may have unintended consequences. As our understanding of human biology advances, ethical considerations surrounding life extension will continue to be important in discussions about the intersection of science, technology, and health.
Wow.
Okay, I see.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it kind of came to the same conclusions as us, right? It's like he can do what he wants, but like if some of the methods are questionable, right? then there's a debate that could be made.
Yeah, obviously, like a lot of what he does needs to also be like peer reviewed and scientifically proven that it is working and whatnot. But he is also very data driven. Like his whole thing is like data, and he's not trying to have like this woo woo science. But yeah, what mainly like GPT is saying here is kind of, is it valid, or is it, does it lack scientific validity? Yeah, you saw that it didn't also know Bryan Johnson was.
Well, it's funny because, full disclaimer, like, I already asked ChatGPT this question before just to see what kind of response it had. And it gave me a slightly different answer last time. It said that, basically it said that people could do whatever they want to their body at the end of the day, but it could be weird if the person is spending $2 million, on himself, where, other people could be using that $2 million in their own benefit if they don't have enough money to eat or whatever.
Okay.
So that's what it was trying to it was criticizing.
Like the ethics of it.
Yeah. So it's interesting. So I kind of feel like it almost came to the same conclusions as us, sort of.
Yeah, sort of. It had to do a lot with the scientific aspect of it, of aging and.
It's still interesting to see.
Do we want to have a follow-up question to this to see if it wants to elaborate?
I wanted to ask it about exactly one of the methods, right? The kernel, some of the technology behind kernel, being this kind of like AI technology. I want to ask this other AI what it thinks about.
Okay. All right, go ahead, ask it.
Okay, I'll ask the question. What do you think about this company called Kernel that focuses on developing technology for better brain imaging? Some people are using this technology to run their lives, and isn't this invasive for some humans? And what are the implications that could arise with such technologies?
Advancements in neuroscience. Kernel's work could contribute to a deeper understanding of the brain, leading to breakthroughs in neuroscience and potentially benefiting individuals with neurological disorders. Medical applications. Improved brain imaging technology could enhance diagnostics and treatment options for conditions like epilepsy, Alzheimer's, and other neurological disorders. Ethical considerations. Privacy concerns. The use of brain-machine interfaces raises privacy concerns, as the technology involves monitoring and potentially manipulating the most intimate aspects of a person's thoughts and cognitive processes. Informed consent. As the technology develops, ensuring informed consent becomes crucial. Individuals should have a clear understanding of how their data will be used, stored, and shared. Equality and access. There may be concerns about the equitable access to such technologies. If they become available primarily to those with financial means, it could exacerbate existing social inequalities. Invasiveness and autonomy. Personal autonomy. The use of brain technology to influence or enhance cognitive functions could raise questions about personal autonomy. Individuals should have the right to make informed decisions about such interventions. Potential for misuse. The technology's potential for misuse or unintended consequences, such as unauthorized access to personal thoughts, requires careful consideration and ethical safeguards.
Yeah, is it invasive? I mean, yeah, it can be. That's the thing, because again, we want to trust another tech company with controlling the data now of our brains,
Yeah, it was an interesting point that it brought up, right? I didn't think about it that way. It's like this company is gathering all this intel from people's brains and it's storing it somewhere, and we don't know what it's doing,
yeah,
right?
We don't know, yeah. I think now they're also developing some technologies like that can read your thoughts.
Yeah.
That can read, kind of what you're thinking or what you want to do. I've seen ones where it's like they're controlling a video game just with their thoughts. Like I've seen there actually exists. Like she's just thinking of it. I've seen videos and the character starts moving. Like how crazy
That's wild,
is that?
Yeah, I mean, isn't Neuralink kind of working in that kind of technology? Like they have this.
I think they're also one from Elon Musk.
So yeah, it's like there are some implications there. Although it did point out some interesting benefits, right? It said that obviously there are going to be some advancements in neuroscience and possibly detecting early onset of Alzheimer's disease, which in Peter Attia's book, he talks about the 4 horsemen, and one of the horsemen is dementia. And it's like dementia and Alzheimer's is a type of dementia, right? Yeah. And he says that Alzheimer's is the one you can't prevent at all. like we can't fix it or cure it. We could only prevent it. That's it.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's like really not well understood. So like people that have Alzheimer's end up dying because there's no cure. There's no medication for it.
You're slowly degrading.
Their brain is just degrading itself.
But doesn't he say what causes it or what could potentially bring it?
Well, there's a lot of like that's the thing. It's not a very well understood disease. Like one of the primary causes he says is like genetics, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you could have like those specific genes that put you more at risk for dementia.
Yeah. Okay.
But like obviously there are some risks. I think like smoking or just he talks about metabolic disorders where it's like type 2 diabetes, things of that nature, just like insulin resistance, all those things, and all those are a huge driver for Alzheimer's, because your body is not able to monitor glucose and all that
glucose
properly.
Level, yeah. Man, glucose has everything to do. It's like the fuel to our life, but it's also like the most toxic.
Yeah, because
it can be. Yeah.
Yeah, because your brain uses so much glucose, and it's like if your body is not able to regulate how much it uses, then there becomes like an issue in like how the brain, how much concentration of glucose there is.
Yeah.
And
like it can't have too much in the blood. That's the thing. That's why blood sugar needs to be always, at a good balance.
Yeah. And that's why type 2 diabetics are also at risk for Alzheimer's because of that, because they can't properly regulate
insulin. Is that
they don't produce insulin, and they can't regulate the glucose in the blood, and because of that the brain suffers. So yeah, this kind of brings us to our second question, which we kind of segued into a little bit just there. So what is more important, lifespan or health span? And just before you answer, I just want to give some detail, like information on what lifespan is, because maybe not everyone knows. Yeah. So lifespan is defined by how long you live in terms of years, right? How long can you live without having disease kill you, basically. That's kind of what it is. And health span is defined as the quality of your life. Just how are you living your life day to day? Are you happy? Do you have good relationships? Are you able to be physically active? Do you have, a good sex life? Like everything.
I thought health span was more just like physically you're healthy.
Yeah, it's everything.
Or is
like
it just everything?
It's everything.
Like social and...
Okay, yeah, it can be social, relationship, mental health is a big one.
Okay. Yeah, mental health. Yeah. Okay. Just like a happy, healthy life. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
That you could do anything you want physically, and you could also achieve anything you want, almost like socially, emotionally.
So let's make this question a bit more specific by kind of giving it through an example. So you could live a health span, like a healthy life, but you will die at 50, or you could have a long lifespan until 120, but you're going to be, miserable.
Suffering with disease and bad relationships, and you're just sad.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's like
I don't know. I mean, it's kind of like quantity versus
Yeah.
Quality.
It is that a bit.
Well, a lot of people would say, well, why can't I have both? I have a long life and a healthy life, So it's like, which is more important? Because if you have to choose one, I mean, yeah, I would want a more healthy and more happy and fulfilled life instead of being sick, but I'm able to like endure until 100, let's say.
Okay.
But that's the thing, aren't they kind of linked as well? How could you live to 100 if your
health span is terrible?
Yeah,
yeah. So it is like they are kind of intertwined in that way.
That way, yeah.
But if you had to choose one, which one would you prefer? Like if you had the choice between I'll live 50 years, like you said, 50 years.
Yeah.
But like the happiest life, the healthiest life, or 100. But every day you're suffering and you're sad for 100 years.
And would I be able to achieve most of what I want to achieve though during those 50 years?
I guess that's up to you. If you're able to,
like, am I at least able to see my kids grow a bit, before I go?
Yeah, but that's the thing, right? I mean, when you're deciding between both, it's like,
you are sacrificing some things.
Yeah.
You know,
and I think
you
that's
might not be able to see, you know, let's say your grandchildren if that's a goal of yours or something. So you might be like, okay, I'm better off being maybe a bit sick or whatever, but living to 70. Or,
so at least I see my grandkids grow up, or my kids. Yeah, I get it.
So you are kind of giving up some things.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I don't know. I guess I would go Healthspan.
Yeah, I think I'd say Healthspan too.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we're choosing the same reason probably. It's kind of like obvious, right? It's like, would you rather have like a long ass life that is like unfulfilling, miserable, filled with disease, or would you rather live maybe a bit less,
but be
healthy and you could do anything you want?
Yeah. But, you know, that's the thing. It's like, why would my life be short unless we're talking about an external cause of death, like accident or just something else other than my health causing me to die?
Yeah.
Or I guess, I'm like healthy, good, and then boom, stage 4 cancer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. It's like, we can't... Like those things like an accident, right? It's hard to predict.
Yeah.
But at the same time, disease, we know... eventually we're gonna probably get one, like
some sort of anything.
And back to the Peter Attia book, right? He talks about the 4 horsemen, so maybe I'll just talk about those, so that if I can remember all of them. So the first one is he talks about heart disease, so that's the first horseman. So he's like, in America we have this huge, you know, epidemic of heart disease.
It is the number one
killer, which is weird because apparently that is the most preventable one. We have the most control over with, you know, exercise and, you know, everything we know about it, and also the best treatments for it. So it's kind of fucked that like
that's
people
still the
highest. Then the second horseman is cancer. The third one is dementia, like I mentioned earlier.
Interesting.
And the fourth one is metabolic diseases.
Oh, okay. Yeah, those are kind of like the big horsemen, like he says, But like dementia, like I don't understand. Like they die, is it like you're losing your mind? But like, how do you?
Well, it's like, imagine your brain starts deteriorating.
Oh, okay, so it actually
until,
physically.
Like the neurons inside your brain, like they get degraded and like they die. So it's like eventually, if you don't have
your
any,
system is
eventually, okay, if this part of the brain goes off, and like we're not doctors by any means, we're just talking. So if the what was I saying? So like if your neurons are dying, right, eventually like your heart's gonna stop, or you're not gonna, everything's gonna because your brain controls all of it, right?
It's like it's like your computer's CPU is like degrading, and then one day the computer's just gonna.
It's more like the motherboard almost.
Or the.
It's like because the brain is like the motherboard, right? It's like the fucking control system.
You're right. Okay.
So it's like if the motherboard, like every day you're like unplugging like one link. Oh, okay, let's remove the link to the
transistor.
CPU. Let's remove the transistor. Let's remove the RAM. It's like that almost. So, and. So that's the third horseman, and then the last one is metabolic disorders. So everything like metabolic is like anything with like diabetes or insulin resistance, just being obese, things like that.
Like autoimmune issues?
No, that's something else. So when he says metabolic, it's like
your system not running correctly.
Like you're overweight, or you're insulin resistant, or you're things of that, like some of those diseases. So he's saying that horseman, the metabolic diseases, will increase your chances of getting the other ones, like cancer or dementia or heart disease.
Oh, okay.
So like if you're obese, like your chances of getting heart disease are way higher.
It's gonna increase. Okay, so that's kind of at the base of a lot of these other ones.
So that's interesting.
But I mean, I guess we would both choose Healthspan
I think so,
from what we see. What would GPT choose?
So let's see what GPT would say.
He's gonna say, "Well, I'm not human, but let me see what I can tell."
Probably something like that. Come on, GPT, give us something good here.
The debate between healthspan and lifespan often centers around the quality versus quantity of life. Here's a breakdown of both concepts. Lifespan. *def. Definition. Lifespan refers to the total number of years a person lives. Focus. Emphasis is on the duration of life, regardless of the individual's health or quality of life during those years. Critique. Critics argue that simply increasing lifespan without considering the quality of life may result in a longer period of illness and dependency. Definition. Healthspan is the portion of a person's life during which they are generally healthy and free from serious illness. Focus. Emphasis is on maintaining good health and functionality, reducing the burden of chronic diseases, and promoting overall well-being. Benefits. Improving healthspan can lead to a more active and fulfilling life, potentially reducing healthcare costs and increasing productivity. In recent years, there has been a growing recognition that both lifespan and healthspan are crucial considerations for overall well-being. Ideally, individuals would want to live long lives while enjoying good health and functionality. Advances in healthcare, preventive medicine, and lifestyle choices are increasingly geared toward not only extending lifespan but also enhancing healthspan. Ultimately, the importance of healthspan versus lifespan can vary from person to person. Some may prioritize quality of life and good health, aiming to compress the period of illness and disability towards the end of life. Others may place a higher value on simply living a longer life, even if it means dealing with some health challenges. In the context of public health and healthcare policy, there is a growing shift towards a more holistic approach that considers both dimensions. The goal is to promote not only increased longevity, but also improved well-being and vitality throughout the entire lifespan.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, he gave a pretty balanced
Pretty
answer.
balanced answer. As expected, GPT.
Trying to be,
Trying to be politically correct. Yeah.
and neutral and not give like an opinion. No, healthspan is more important.
But it kind of said what we said again, right? It's like, ideally you would get both, right? Like like a long lifespan and also like a good health span. Kind of said that. It's like, but also it's like individual, right? Which one would you prefer?
Well, because that's the thing. Like, let's say someone might have a disease and maybe the doctors are like, okay, take this pill and just extend. You could live like 10 years with this, instead of like, how can we try to fix this and like make your life actually more enjoyable and better and because a lot of, I guess, doctors just to focus on more like what was the thing that they say, it's not healthcare, it's sick care,
But that's one of the big parts of the book. It discusses this new medicine called Medicine 3.0. Medicine 2.0 was always fixing the problem as it appears, whereas Medicine 3.0 acts as like a prevention to the diseases before, like decades before they arise.
Decades, okay.
Yeah, not just
that's how it should be, though. Yeah, because here it's like doctors are waiting. Oh, I got cancer. Oh, I got heart disease. But that's what I always ask myself. Like, why isn't public health policies geared towards start early, like these kids, who eat junk food at school and then they grow up and then they're stressed, they're living, apartments alone, and then they eat more junk food and they start getting fatter and, they have stress in life, there's no social support. So that adds on to it. And then boom, 20 years later, heart disease or something like that. And they're like, whoa, heart disease. Oh, we got to figure out how to help you now.
Yeah.
But what happened, decades ago?
Exactly.
That led to that.
Yeah,
we're more reactive in our healthcare instead of proactive.
Yeah. In the book, he talks about one of his patients, and he did like the patient went to him, and he's like, she's like, oh, I just want to see, if I'm at risk for any disease, whatever. And they did some tests, and turns out she had like the sequence of genes that would like put her 3 times more at risk of getting Alzheimer's disease, but in 20 or 30 years later. But they caught it like
that early
because they started testing for that stuff. Whereas now, who the fuck would test me for Alzheimer's disease? It'd be like, what the hell, you're 27.
Yeah, you're 27. Yeah,
like,
yeah. They wouldn't even bat an eye or...
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I think we need to start implementing that, preventive medicine approach. It's a cool
I
new thing.
definitely agree on that, honestly. Because, yeah, that's what it would also help with your health span, preventing it in the first place.
Exactly.
It's
like if I don't have to worry about the disease because I already know I'm at risk and we're already treating it, then why would I not be happy in my life?
No, exactly, yeah. Yeah, you're happy until you get it, and then you're miserable.
Exactly.
And why did this happen?
Yeah. So yeah, it's an interesting question, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I think this could be debated, with different perspectives, and yeah, some might want to have a longer lifespan, even if they might have more challenges and be a bit more miserable. It's kind of like, what do you value at the end of the day?
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I guess we can move on to our third question. So basically, this one kind of relating again. But we're becoming more and more philosophical here, kind of debating higher questions here. So yeah, in the far future, if we could achieve a very high level of healthcare in the world that would rid basically almost anyone of any disease or sicknesses, but would eliminating all that suffering make us less human?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, from my perspective, I think like human beings need some kind of suffering in life a little bit to that's what makes us human, right? Like just like an example, okay, for myself. Like the other day I had a colonoscopy done because I have Crohn's, and I had to do like the freaking what do you call it, like laxative treatment, right? And
to clear out
to clear out your bowels, whatever. And it's like I went through that. It lasted like a day, but I fasted the whole day plus a little bit of the next day. So almost like a day and a half fasting. And it's like throughout that day and a half, I was kind of like miserable. It was like, man, this sucks, But then like just a funny example, it's like the meal after the colonoscopy was just like the most beautiful thing ever. It was like,
just out of curiosity.
It's a good question. Yeah. So I went with my mom. I went to this breakfast place like right near the hospital. It's like just place in Quebec here. And it was this big ass, like it was like a crepe rolled, like an omelet rolled inside a crepe, like a Western omelet in a crepe.
Okay. So it
was good.
Delicious stuff.
Some really delicious stuff, and like potatoes and all that. It was like,
that must have been like a feast.
It was a feast. I didn't even finish it. It was so big. And like after a day and a half of fasting, like your stomach is still kind of upside down after a colonoscopy, right?
Yeah.
So it's like I didn't want to eat all of it, but I ate a lot of it.
Okay.
So yeah. So that's just an example of like
how the suffering made you enjoy it.
It made me
more.
enjoy. Yeah, it was like so amazing after the day and a half.
It's the yin and yang of life, right? You need darkness to have lightness. If everything is lightness, then there is no lightness, well, a bit more extrapolating here, but basically, if you don't ever have any sort of suffering or pain, then you won't know how it feels to feel good and what the value of feeling good. So yes, I guess humans have kind of this imperative to try to make our lives more comfortable and rid people of sicknesses. But it's like who decides on that balance? When do they say like, okay, it's enough, we can let some people, have some sickness or disease, like we don't need to try to fix all of this. But humans can't really tell that to themselves. It's like with technology, we want to keep pushing it more and more and more and more, faster, smaller. Who is gonna tell them no? This is enough. Like my phone this size, this is enough. I don't need it to become.
Yeah, like who decides all this? Like who's the?
No, but that's the thing. Nobody though. We're just figuring this out as we go along. But as we advance as a species, like our paradigm, so to speak, of our lives is changing, and kind of like deep meanings that we've gathered throughout, thousands and millions of years are, starting to shift.
Like in my the way I look at this is like, imagine you take one of these technologies and you show someone of just like 1,000 years ago, or like 50, even not even that far, not even 1,000,
that far,
like just 100 years ago or something. What do you think they would say? they would say like, what is this? Like, why do you need this?
Yeah, or why do you need this?
Yeah, that would be the answer, because those people were more in touch with themselves, right?
Yeah.
And just what the human spirit was. 100 years ago, people had to work physical jobs all the time. They had to, I don't know, some people
Just
were probably
spend more
hunting
times,
and,
with themselves.
farming and whatever. Yeah, exactly. Spending more time with themselves, spending more time with family.
Yeah.
But here we are trying to come up with these crazy technologies that is going to like replace our suffering, our diseases. It's like wild.
Yeah. No, but like, yeah. I mean, speaking more like in the medical sense, yeah, of like ridding people of sickness. I don't know. So you think like there should be a limit at some point of how much?
Look, I mean, it depends which sickness. I mean, I think there's some sicknesses that, yeah, we should definitely try as much as we can to get rid of. 'Cause,
Okay.
like
It
cancer.
doesn't bend. Yeah, like cancer.
Cancer is just one of
Parkinson's disease. Or,
those. Yeah,
you
like
know.
all those neurodegenerative diseases. That's such an awful way to go, right? Like
Yeah.
not remembering anything and just freaking, like
Your
being in the
mind
abyss, really. Like,
It's kind of scary though. I feel
It's
like it's way
terrifying.
more terrifying than the actual dying.
yeah.
Like I would
And the one
never-
the one that scares me the most is cancer. I don't know why. There's
yeah?
been a lot of cancer in my family,
Oh, okay.
And yeah, it's weird because it feels like it just happens to everyone. That's why it scares me so much.
Well, I don't know. They say, isn't there like a stat that 50% of the
Yeah.
population does get some
Some
level
type of cancer. Yeah, I heard the same thing. That's crazy.
Well, the thing is that I heard that we constantly do have, so to speak, cancerous cells or cells that are like rogue, but they get destroyed. Our immune system is able to protect it. It's when it's not able to protect it and it starts growing and growing uncontrollably, that's when it becomes more problematic.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
that's why, health span and preventative medicine should be more at the forefront
Yeah.
than reacting. Oh, you're already at stage 4. How come,
Yeah, how come
How come,
how did we
yeah.
let this happen, right? Yeah, it's crazy. But yeah, like let's say, I don't know, just like eradicating like diseases or illnesses, like I don't know, like a rash. Like is it really like
Yeah. Or like a cold.
or a cold? Like that builds a bit of resilience. Like okay, unless you're like immunocompromised and you like a
Yeah, you
cold puts you
can't,
at
yeah.
risk. Okay, maybe for that person
They could have,
they could have something, to prevent.
Yeah.
But other people that are healthy,
But that's the thing. Imagine though if they do come up with, let's say, like a vaccine. They take it and you're always covered. Like you'll never get a cold. It's like, would you take that?
that's a hard question. I mean, for me, I don't think I would. First of all, I don't even get colds very often. So like, for me,
the thing. Me neither. And like, I usually get through it.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It's not
Yeah.
that deadly.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is for some. I'm not saying like cold can't kill people. Yeah, obviously, like older people, they're more at risk. Usually, flu, who does it kill? Older, more obese, immunocompromised,
People that have metabolic conditions, like people that
Or-
have
yeah.
obesity, diabetes, all those people. Those are the
Okay.
people that are at risk.
that are risk, yeah. But that's the thing. It's like a cold. It's kind of, it can come, every year or so. Kind of, punches you in the face. Reminds you that, don't take for granted the way you're feeling all good all the time.
Yeah, but that's the thing. It makes you better. It's like,
Yeah. Because when
Okay.
you come out of it, you're like, whoa.
finally, I'm done with this shit, right? That's how it feels. But not only that, it puts you in check. It's like, okay, why did I get a cold? Oh, well, last 3 days I was out drinking and I wasn't sleeping on time and I was eating like shit.
Yeah.
Well, fix those things.
Yeah.
Like,
And you could, prevent it in the future. But again, yeah. I mean, I guess some sicknesses should be eradicated. Well, that's the thing, like polio, measles,
yeah.
chicken pox, like those sort of things. We've, pretty much eradicated them, I don't think anyone is complaining, oh, we should have some polio suffering.
Have you ever seen that iron lung thing?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, dude, that's why. Can we just put it on the screen? Let's just look at it, dude. It's fucking crazy.
What a video of the...
There's a guy that lives in an iron
Oh
lung.
yeah,
like,
that lives. That is
so-
intense.
that
though.
is
like
so
that is no way
crazy,
to
man.
live.
That's him.
That's I
Oh
think
my
that's
god, dude, look at that.
one of the last people who live in an iron lung.
Oh my God, how many hours per day? Like, does he spend the
Like,
whole day in there?
I think he spends a lot, like very long time.
So
Alexander will remember the sound of the screen door slamming on that rainy day in 1952. Another sprung. God, please, oh, brutal. It was the worst year for polio in the U.S. with nearly 60,000 cases. Some cities shut down movie theaters. Okay, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, his body started to ache. 18 months after he was admitted, doctors said he could go on, thinking he wouldn't live much longer.
His body was completely paralyzed,
He couldn't
from the
breathe
neck down.
outside the iron lung. His family brought him and the lung home and had what they thought would be their last Christmas together. Man, look at that.
Alexander is still alive today. He's 74 and resides in Dallas, and for the second time in his life, living through the outbreak of a virus. Okay, I guess they're talking about COVID here.
It is at a high risk of suffering. Unlike the polio virus, corona hasn't disproportionately impacted children. The most at risk are severe adults over 65. Yeah. It's like a big tin can, he tells me over Skype one morning. His head sticks out of the yellow tube, and I can hear the machinery expanding and compressing. Between the noise and the fuzzy screen, it's somewhere hard to make out what he's saying. Yeah.
I guess it doesn't say how long he spends, but I can imagine he spends like a long time.
Well, yeah, but if he's paralyzed, then how is he breathing without it?
Yeah, I saw somewhere that like he could like spend a few hours outside of it, but maybe I'm wrong. Like I don't know. I don't know the science behind this, obviously.
I thought I'm going to die or I'm going to school. His first one, okay, you even went to school. He attended UT Law. The professors weren't as encouraging. Alexander remembers one of them brought him, you don't look like a lawyer. You're not going to pass my class, but he did.
Oh my God, he graduated as a lawyer.
What the hell?
That is so wild,
guys
dude.
Do not have any excuse
for
no not.
Fucking excuse. This guy.
He spent decades as a lawyer in Dallas practicing family law and taking on bankruptcy cases, representing clients in courts from his wheelchair. Okay, so he was...
Yeah, because I remember hearing the story, and basically I think he was starting to... Yeah, see? He became more difficult to breathe on his own later in life, basically, right? Yeah. As Alexander...
Over the years, she learned everything about she could tell him about getting oxygen when he's dehydrated. I know his body language so well better than him. He gets mad at me. I say, Paul, drink. I'm not thirsty. I say, Paul, you're thirsty. Okay. He became more difficult. Okay, now he's completely confined to his iron lung. He stopped practicing law in the last few years and set a new goal, telling his life story. Okay, so I guess... like he had to go to the iron lung often, but then when he got older,
it became increasingly difficult.
Basically permanently in it.
That's fucking crazy.
But you see, I guess this is a good example of like Healthspan versus lifespan.
Yeah, right. That's true. So I guess he lived...
like he said, F no, I'm going,
Yeah, but I guess the iron lung is prolonging his lifespan.
Yeah.
But how good is his health span?
Well, that's the thing.
Probably awful.
I mean, the guy was able to become a lawyer and do that. I mean, I guess he did overcome a lot of adversity.
But that's the thing, right? It's like this is individual to everyone, right? Like what makes one person happy versus another?
Yeah.
It's like some people are more resilient to pain also. Like maybe he's in that iron lung 20 hours per day and he's a happy guy.
And he's not complaining.
I'm sure he's not complaining.
Yeah. Somebody else stubs his toe, cries all day.
Yeah, exactly. And this guy is freaking in his iron lung
I think,
all day long.
what mindset plays a big,
Dude, I don't know how I would live. Like, this guy is way stronger than I am to, like... I think I would just tell him, like, kill me. Like, I swear, I would. Like, I don't know how.
You can't enjoy anything. It's just you're stuck in this tube and it's like compressing your lungs.
It's like expanding and like just a pressure chamber all day long. It's wild. That's so crazy. Anyways, so back to the main point here. Yeah, so I guess, back to the question, right? So would you eradicate all diseases? I mean, it's hard to tell, right? I mean, depends.
Because, that's the thing. Who chooses? It comes to that. Mm-hmm. Who chooses and what?
Yeah.
Who says this disease we keep it's good and this not? You know what it's gonna come down to is that, regardless, like we're gonna eliminate a lot of sicknesses. Like going forward in the future, human life is gonna become more comfortable, and it's gonna be up to us as humans to seek out suffering It's crazy to think about it, but we're already kind of doing it, like going to the gym. Do you think people 1,000 years ago went to the gym?
No,
their gym was life.
Yeah, their gym was life.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Like, how good do you feel after a hard workout?
Yeah.
Like, you feel good. You feel like, wow, I did something. Like, I put myself through something difficult. I came out on the other side, and now I'm stronger and better, healthier.
You didn't die, so like,
Didn't
wow,
die.
okay.
Didn't die, exactly. Don't
die.
die.
Yeah. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Exactly.
So,
I mean...
So, yeah, I think it's just we're going to seek out more suffering, I think.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Other forms that doesn't kill us.
We didn't ask this one to GPT yet, did we?
Oh, yeah, we didn't.
Let's ask
see
GPT what it
his
thinks.
opinion is.
The question of whether eliminating all suffering would make us less human is a complex and philosophical one, and opinions on this matter may vary. It touches upon fundamental aspects of human experience, ethics, and the nature of our existence. On one hand, the elimination of suffering could be seen as a positive outcome, reflecting progress and a commitment to the well-being of individuals. The alleviation of pain and disease has been a goal in the field of healthcare, and achieving a state where most, if not all, diseases are eliminated could lead to longer and healthier lives. On the other hand, some argue that the human experience is shaped by a variety of emotions and challenges, including suffering. These experiences contribute to personal growth, resilience, empathy, and a deeper understanding of oneself and others. Eliminating all suffering might be perceived as removing a crucial aspect of the human condition, potentially leading to a loss of certain qualities that define our humanity. Additionally, the definition of what it means to be human can vary across cultures, philosophies, and belief systems. Some may argue that the essence of humanity lies in our ability to overcome adversity, while others may emphasize our capacity for compassion and the pursuit of well-being. It's important to note that discussions about the far future often involve speculative scenarios and assumptions about technological advancements, societal changes, and ethical considerations. The idea of eliminating all suffering raises ethical questions about autonomy, individual choice, and the potential unintended consequences of such interventions. In the end, whether the elimination of suffering would make us less human depends on one's perspective and values. It's a topic that involves both scientific and philosophical considerations, and the exploration of these ideas will likely continue to evolve as our understanding of human nature and our capabilities advances.
Interesting.
Interesting, but I feel like it never gives a straight answer for anything.
It never gives
It's just like, it just gives, like, it just
it covers kind
dances
of all
around,
bases.
and it's just like, yeah, it covers all bases.
Because that's the thing, like this AI is not made to give its own opinion, because it's not like a,
Yeah, it's
like
not like
its
a
own
Cassandra.
Cassandra AI. Yeah. The one from Josh Brzezinski that we interviewed him. Yeah, I bet his AI might maybe be more opinionated.
It might be.
I think because, he was saying how...
His AI is a bad bitch.
Lol. But there was one point here that it made, saying some may argue that the essence of humanity lies in our ability to overcome adversity, while others might emphasize our capacity for compassion in the pursuit of well-being. So that's the thing. It's like, what makes us human? Some say it's overcoming adversity. Some saying it's being compassionate and wanting the well-being of everyone.
So I guess it depends on what you value.
Or what you define as being human.
Okay.
Like, what does being human mean? Well, that's a deep question.
Yeah, what does it mean? Well, for me, I think like I'm more on the side of like overcoming adversity. I don't know. Maybe personally, because I've had a lot of adversity in my life.
Well, isn't that like the goal in life, to overcome challenges?
Yeah.
If you don't have problems and challenges to overcome, then what is the meaning?
Yeah, like, what is
it kind
life?
of becomes
Like, it's
meaningless.
Yeah.
Because I feel like even if we reach some sort of utopia, we're still going to always have challenges to deal with. It's like humans cannot live without having something to like fix or overcome. It's sort of like just nature, and we're not there just to be and like, just to stay uncomfortable.
Yeah, like imagine you're just this thing, you're just living in a void and
You're
just kind of
floating.
floating. Yeah. Like what are you? You're just this
what are
fucking
you? Yeah.
interdimensional being or something.
Intergalactic.
Intergalactical demon or something.
But and it also kind of ties with the notion. I think it was Hinduism, right? With nirvana. Like, what is the point of nirvana? It's like being reincarnated after you die, until you reach a point where you know and understand everything, and you have no trouble, no suffering, and then you cease to exist. So, which is gonna segue into our.
But that what you said
question.
is super important. It's like it's almost like religion kind of answers the question there a little bit. It's like, as you said, right? You're reincarnating, and you're facing problems every time you're in this new life.
Yeah.
Until
and you're always trying to figure it out
until that one day where because I think you're accumulating karma, right? Like good karma, and that's how it judges you if you could go to nirvana.
Okay.
And it's like, as you accumulate that good karma, like throughout all those cycles that you lived, then eventually, if you'll be able to go to nirvana. But it's like it almost answers the question. It's like only after you went through all that stuff that you will obtain peace, and you'll
cease to exist.
Yeah, you'll cease to exist.
That's the thing, because it's almost like the meaning of our existence is that it's the figuring out, the overcoming. Because if you have nothing to overcome, then you have no reason to exist anymore.
Yeah, it's just a really good point.
So
yeah, that really segues into our next one, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Because the next one is the kind of most philosophical, if you will, because it ties into like religion. So it's basically, what becomes of religions and the afterlife, right? Whether it's going to heaven, hell, or being reincarnated, if one day we achieve immortality. Because that's the thing with longevity, right? It's one day, if you even ask Bryan Johnson, would you want to be immortal? I guess he would say, yeah. But that's the thing. What becomes of religions and this whole idea of afterlife that we have?
Yeah. So I think this immortality concept is a tricky one. I mean, for me, it's like, what do religions, what are they for, right? It's like, it gives people hope for after they live their lives, where they're going to be headed. Does the spirit carry on? What happens to us, basically. Yeah. But if one day we somehow reach immortality with, some technology, or, just by some freaking miracle, I don't know, I don't even think that's possible, right? Just
let's say hypothetically.
Yeah. I mean, law of entropy always says that, there's always chaos, and there's always problems, right?
Yeah, well, I guess you could be immortal, but maybe still die if you get crushed by a car.
Yeah.
Let's say,
No, but what I mean is that, there would probably be no miracle that could ever happen where.
Okay, so you think this is almost like a hypothetical?
It's hypothetical. How would you ever become immortal? There's bound to be too many factors, right? Okay. So, I think the only way, if ever, would be through some kind of intervention with technology.
Well, yeah,
right?
I mean, that's what it's going to be.
It has to be that, right?
Oh, you mean let's say transfer our mind?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about that one time, right? Yeah, somehow
in our immortality episode, yeah.
So maybe by some advancement, there could be some kind of breakthrough, and
maybe break free from our physical body, so then we won't have to.
But then at that point, it's like, what does become of religions, right? It's like, if the point of religions is to give people hope and to give them guidelines on to live a better life, and even to be able to go access the afterlife, then if we're immortal, where does that framework go?
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. It's like religion kind of takes a back seat. It goes on the back burner. It's like, well, we're not going to die, so why do we have to think about the afterlife? You know?
What do you think? Do you think, you see how many people, follow these religions to the letter, to whatever it's written in the Bible, or, whatever religious text, Quran, whatever. And, so many religious wars happening even now, right? Israel, Hamas, there's that religious element, undertone, how many people you think would stop just listening to their religion or believing at all? What do you think?
If they were immortal all of a sudden?
If everyone was freaking immortal, how many people would like still like follow religion?
Oh yeah, follow. But that's the thing. Does being immortal mean your life is like paradise now? Maybe some people would be like, no, I don't want to live here. The other life, the afterlife is way better.
Mm-hmm. So in that way, is it like we're almost already immortal? if our soul transcends to the afterlife, it's like, you know.
I guess, yeah, maybe some, yeah, well, that's the thing. Religious people, I guess that's the fundamental thing. It's like you are immortal. Mm-hmm. It's just your soul gets transferred to this other dimension.
Yeah, so like, yeah, it does say that kind of, right? That like, I don't think it states that we're immortal. I just think that it says that
your
like,
soul is forever.
It transcends, right? To this other dimension, or, you know, and you're still,
your soul lives.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
that's what it is.
So I don't know. It's hard to say what becomes of religions, but I think, I don't know. In my opinion, I think a lot of people would stop believing. That's just what I think.
I guess what it would make people understand is that the concept of heaven and hell is basically related to our reality, our current life. Mm-hmm. You can be in hell, and I can be in heaven, and we could be in the same room.
That's true.
Because that all comes down to how you're feeling, what your mental state is. You know, you could be walking in a street and you have people in hell and other people in heaven, but they're all in the same, you know, dimension as you.
Yeah. So right now in this room, who is in heaven and who is in hell?
I've been reincarnated.
So yeah, I get what you mean, right? That's like, it's a perspective thing also. Like, people could be living hell like day to day.
Yeah, day to day, yeah. From your life, that's the thing. Like reality is reality. It's neutral. Nothing defines, you know, the nature, whatever around you. You know, someone might go out and see the trees and see darkness, you know, because they've been hit by something horrible in their life. And then somebody else might go as,
yeah, it's all flowers and rainbows. Yeah.
You know, you're newly in love or something. Everything is rosy and red. You know, the typical. And when you break up, everything is dark and
dark and gloomy.
Yeah, why is that? So one day you're in heaven, one day you're in hell.
That's true. Yeah, I didn't think about it that way.
So maybe people should look at the concept of that as it's during your life that you choose.
Yeah, it's an interesting perspective. I mean, I don't know if we're ever going to have answers to any of these questions, but I think it's still important to like be like introspective and think about them. That's kind of why we're, you know, talking.
That's the whole point. Being philosophically deep.
And asking it to GPT kind of gives this objective, you know, say on the matter.
And I guess, this is the last question here that we will ask it. So let's see what it answers.
The relationship between religious beliefs and immortality is a complex and speculative topic. It's important to note that religious beliefs vary widely across cultures, and interpretations can differ even within the same faith. The impact of achieving immortality on religious beliefs would likely depend on the specific tenets of each religion and how they address concepts such as the afterlife. Here are a few perspectives to consider. Integration with religious beliefs. Some religious traditions may be adaptable to the idea of immortality. They might incorporate the concept of eternal life into their understanding of the afterlife or view immortality as a divine gift. For example, certain interpretations of Christianity might see immortality as a form of eternal life granted by God. Challenge to religious frameworks. Immortality could pose a challenge to certain religious doctrines that involve concepts of death, judgment, and an afterlife. Religions that emphasize the significance of mortality and the transition to an afterlife might need to reinterpret their teachings in the context of immortality. Immortality might prompt a reassessment of moral and ethical teachings within religions. Concepts of reward and punishment in the afterlife could be re-examined in a world where individuals do not experience death. Evolution of religious thought. Religious beliefs and doctrines have evolved throughout history in response to changing societal and technological conditions. The achievement of immortality could trigger a reformation or reinterpretation of religious beliefs. New religious movements. Immortality might give rise to new religious movements or philosophical perspectives that specifically address the challenges and opportunities associated with eternal life. It's important to remember that these are speculative scenarios. and the actual impact would depend on how individuals and religious communities interpret and adapt to the changes. Additionally, religious beliefs often go beyond the question of the afterlife, encompassing a wide range of moral, ethical, and existential considerations that may or may not be directly influenced by the prospect of immortality.
Yeah.
Interesting. There was a
Very
lot that was
detailed.
said. Yeah.
Bunch of bullet points here.
Not really sure where to start with this. I mean,
Well, one thing I would say, yeah, like it said, religious beliefs might actually evolve.
right.
So there is that too. It doesn't mean religion might disappear. It might just become a bit different.
Yeah.
because
And it
we-
also said the part where we talked about how some religions already talk about, like, insist that there is something as immortality, right?
Oh yeah, that they already have that
Yeah.
concept. Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Does our question mean like, will religion disappear? Is that what we're trying to say?
No, just what becomes of
Or
it.
what becomes?
Yeah. Like, what changes?
Yeah. What changes?
So it said it, right? Possibly religions would change and
Change.
adapt to that, new
new
framework or,
just new type of
new
life.
type of life, basically, yeah.
Because that's the thing. The idea of afterlife kind of becomes meaningless if you are immortal.
Yeah.
It's like I can live forever. So what is
Well, now it's making me question, because if, let's say, I hadn't thought of this, if let's say Christianity already kind of emphasized that we are immortal, but people still believe it so much, like, why is that? Because I guess, like GPT said, religion doesn't just discuss immortality.
Yeah, this
It talks as other, morals and
codes of conduct.
codes. Yeah, and that's what people want from religion, right? Like, almost like a framework for life. It's not just like, am I gonna
how to live life.
Yeah. It's not like I'm just gonna be like, where am I gonna be in like after I die? That's not what everyone cares about.
No, yeah. Yeah, that's just part of the answers that religion gives. It also gives you, thou shalt not kill, you should be married and, have children, whatever, just being safe. Stuff
The
there.
commandments and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah. So I guess my answer kind of changed after what GPT said a bit, because I hadn't thought that, like, because initially I thought that, yeah, maybe some people would stop believing in religion, but
Yeah,
now
you thought they would stop believing.
But now I kind of take that back, because there is like a way broader framework that it presents to people, and that's what people are drawn to, right?
I don't know. Who knows? Would people become even more religious?
Maybe they would think like this immortality is like a gift from God or something.
Yeah. Or maybe that's, well, yeah, but that's the thing though. Like, death gives meaning to your life. Because you have like this thing, like a goal to you're going to reach there one day. So you got to make the most of it. So now we're immortal. And people are like, hey, religion, help me understand, get through this. Like, what do I do in my life?
Yeah.
Like, what are the rules I need to follow? Or how do I need to live my life? And like, if I will never die.
Yeah.
So it raises a lot of...
But doesn't like, if you are immortal, doesn't that make you like some kind of God already? Like yourself? So it's like, like who are you like, are you believing in a God, or are you just believing that everyone is God? Or, like, what happens then?
Well, that's the thing. Like, does the concept of monotheism, disappear because we're all now kind of godlike?
Yeah.
We're immortal.
Yeah. And doesn't that make like AI too, like basically almost like a god? Because like it lives in this
Yeah, AI is always
space,
there.
and it's immortal, right? It's not gonna die. It knows all.
Honestly, that's the thing. It knows all. It's just not omnipotent.
It's everywhere. Technically, it is, right?
Yeah, it's everywhere all at
And
the same time.
It's immortal. So like, I don't know. It's like, it's crazy.
This
I
is
saw
what we're preaching at.
It's funny we bring this up. For some random reason, I was like on Lex Friedman's like YouTube channel today, and I clicked on one of his old lectures he gave, and he gave a quote where when people were starting to create AI, it wasn't like the reason. Oh man, I can't remember the quote, but it was something like, AI is just an attempt to create a god or something.
I would see it that way. I mean, yeah. Well, it kind of is.
Yeah.
Like a know-it-all.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't remember exactly the quote, so yeah, don't quote me on that, but it was something like that, you know. It just
That it acts like a god, and a sort of god, that it can
Yeah.
answer anything, it
yeah.
knows everything. It's kind of like, like the book, The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
I didn't read that.
Well, you know the thing with the answer to the universe is 42.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Is that from there?
Yeah, it's from
Okay.
there. Yeah, and there's a movie as well on the book, but basically, yeah, where humans, what they do, they spend like a lot of time building like this giant computer, and then everyone's getting ready. They're all like, you know, a bunch of people in front of this computer waiting, and it's like, do you answer to the life, universe, and everything? Is 42 because it's so random, because there is no like answer, meaning like
Yeah, it could be
the
anything.
answer is whatever you make it to be. But they wanted this big intelligent computer to tell them what the answer is. So maybe that's what it is. We're building these AIs so that, you know, they could be our savior,
Yeah.
and our messiah.
And that's why we had GPT on as a guest today.
Thank you for coming on, GPT. It was a pleasure.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I think we pretty
It
much
was interesting.
yeah,
to
talked
use.
about everything. It was cool to use. We might do this again in the future if you guys like that, you know.
Yeah, let us
us know.
know. I think it was, we like going deep with these sort of questions. Besides
Yeah.
doing our interviews, I think, you know, solo episodes
Yeah,
like
these
this
solo episodes could be fun.
yeah,
I feel like doing this more often.
we should.
Yeah.
So you guys let us know too.
Yeah.
And guess we'll wrap it up. So thank you guys for watching. As always, you know, leave a like, comment, subscribe on our channel, or follow us on the other streaming platforms, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google, wherever you listen, all the major streaming platforms. And I guess we'll see you guys next time.
Yeah. Catch you guys on the next one. Thanks.
All right. Bye.